Hi. How's
Hi.
how's it going?
It's going. It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
Working from home. So, yeah, just stuck in the house all day, every day.
Yeah, I think me too, mostly, and I'm sure everyone else probably listening or watching this too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been oh, I haven't seen you since probably our photo shoot, right? It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got my pictures like before summer of last year because we did the photo
Yeah,
shoot at
it
Worlds.
was like spring of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been
Yeah.
a little over a year now.
Yeah. But
So I
been a
wanted
long year.
to start at the beginning, at the origin
Yeah.
of Karaleigh, her dance origin.
Back to the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
tell me, like, I guess the very first thing is like, how did you find out about Irish dancing? Was it family? Was it something else?
yeah. So I actually didn't know what Irish dancing was. I had seen it on a commercial on Disney Channel and I annoyed
Wait, what
the
commercial
life
was
out of my
it?
mother. I have no idea. It was just a commercial that aired on Disney that had dancers in it.
Okay.
And I annoyed the life out of my mother, like from the time I was like 2.5, 3 years old. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. She was like, great. I have no idea what that is. And you have a small brain, so you'll forget. Like, sounds good. So we went to our city's St. Patrick's Day parade
Uh-huh.
and because my mom worked right downtown, so we were up in her office because it was a perfect view and it was kind of cold that day. And I was like, Mom, that's it. I want to do that. She was like, why didn't you forget about this by now? Like,
How old were you at this
okay,
point?
I was probably, I had to have just really turned, or maybe just about to turn 4 because
Okay.
I wasn't 4 yet. And it was March, and that's the age that my original teacher started classes at.
Okay.
So her coworker's daughter was actually down in the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of turned and she was like, do you know what that is? Because she's been annoying me about it for a while now. And her coworker was like, yeah, that's Irish dancing. My daughter's down there. You can see her like right there. And she was like, oh my goodness. Okay, great. So obviously it's local. We'll sign her up in the fall, just see if that's something she really wants to do. And then I started in September when I was 4,
But in the
cried after every class.
meantime, between that, like, were you doing the whole dancing in the house for, like,
Yeah, I
mimicking and
think
miming
so.
all the steps?
Yeah, I was a very crazy child. I didn't really sit still very well, so I
Uh-huh.
was kind of always up and moving and flailing around, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But then when I started dancing, I cried after every class for the first, I think, like 3 months.
Oh no,
And
why?
my mom didn't know why. My teacher didn't know why. Everyone was kind of like, why are you crying? Are you sad to leave? Do you not want to come back? Like, why are you crying? And I was just like, I don't know. And
I just love it
very
so
fitting
much.
for me. But yeah, I mean, I'd still do the same now. So yeah. And my teacher eventually was just like, if you cry one more time in class, like you're not allowed to come back. And that kind of ended that. So like I stopped crying. I still went to class, but
That's so
yeah,
funny.
so
And you
yeah,
never really figured out what it was.
no idea. Like I couldn't communicate with my mom why I was crying.
Hmm.
I had no idea myself, I guess.
Tears
Yeah.
of joy, maybe.
Yeah, because it was at the end, so maybe it was just like I didn't want to leave. We have no
Yeah.
idea, but
Yeah.
I was an emotional child.
And
But yeah,
then
that's how I started.
when did you start competing when you started dancing? Or was it quite a long time after you started?
Yeah, I started right away. We used to have a fesh that was the next town over from us, and that was always my school's beginners like first fesh. We
Hmm.
would always send them right there because it's local. Someone was always there to watch them. So that was my first fesh. Like I'd
Well, I
curled
guess we
my
should
mom curled
say,
my
like,
hair.
what part of the world do you live in?
Oh, yeah. I say I'm from Boston, but I'm an hour outside of Boston. It's just in Hooksett, New Hampshire. No one
Okay.
really knows where New Hampshire is. So I just go with Boston because
Okay,
it's
yeah, yeah, it's
easier.
safe.
But yeah. So I'm up in Hooksett, which in the Boston area, there's a lot of dancing.
Hmm.
It's very saturated with different schools and feshes. And so I'm very lucky in that respect that I don't always have to fly to a fesh or anything.
Yeah,
I can do that if I want to, but I'm not forced
right.
to fly to another state to go to a fesh. So we had one that was right with us. I went there. My mom curled my hair. Like I slept in rollers that night. I think I went to a birthday party with
Did you
them in
sleep
the
on
next
your
morning.
face?
I think so. I think I like slept on the side of my face because that was the only way I could get comfortable. And even now, because I curl the front of my hair, like it's
Yeah.
still so hard to
You need
get
one
to
of those
sleep. But
massage tables. Like all dancers need one of those to sleep in.
yeah, yeah, that would be so easy because then you could just like sleep like that. And then,
New business
ah,
venture we'll do together.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Copyright it now. Yeah, so I started then, and I was always competitive, like from a young age. And I guess I was okay when I was younger. I guess
Hmm.
I advanced pretty quick in terms of my competition at that age, but I didn't really take it seriously. I didn't know that there was anything to do with competing outside of New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Were you
Um,
very competitive? Or like did you just go and you were told to dance your steps or you just danced your steps?
that's kind of how it went. I didn't really understand. Like I knew getting first was good.
Right.
You getting third was still good because you were still placing. Like it just wasn't like a I'm here to win and do this.
Yeah.
So I guess I was kind of oblivious to all of that.
Which
Like,
is great.
yeah, it was very nice for me because I could just enjoy it for what it was. I could
Hmm.
enjoy my friends and hanging out with all of them at competitions and all of that stuff without really the added stress of competing,
Right.
that a lot of kids and even young adults still experience today with it. So I was just very in my own world, I guess, even
Yeah.
though my school sent kids to worlds and nationals and they had teams that were really, really good. It was a well respected school when I was a kid. So I was in a place for it. I just didn't understand it. I
Yeah.
was kind of
So
having a
wait,
good time.
how old were you when you started competing?
I was probably, that fesh was in May. So I had probably just turned 5 at my
Okay.
first fesh.
Oh, so cute.
I'd done a couple shows. I was like the cute little chubby kid that they brought along to all the shows. That was just
Oh, I
like
love it.
adorable. Here you go. So that was my role for the first few years, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun
Do you have
growing up with.
any like vivid memories of like early days, like anything that sticks out to you still?
I remember it was probably the first time we stayed in a hotel for a fesh. We were in the hotel playing Yahtzee as we did, I guess that was the thing. And my friend like took a bite of popcorn and she lost her tooth. And I
Oh
was like,
boy.
Mom, how's the tooth fairy gonna find us in Connecticut? Like, she's not gonna know she's down here. I was so concerned that my friend wouldn't get her dollar from the
Oh
tooth fairy.
right. Yeah,
So
what a tragedy.
I remember that. Yeah, that was traumatic for me at like 7. But yeah, I think that's probably like my first real fesh memory. I think I
And
kind of blocked out the others.
do you know like when you started to become, I guess, more self-aware about like competition and wanting
Yeah.
to place and when like I guess was there a time when like the pressure kind of kicked in more and it became more like serious?
Yeah, I think it was definitely later because I have a really good friend that same age. Her mom's a teacher at her school, and she started doing really well because we were always kind of neck and neck growing
Mm-hmm.
up. And then she got into Open. She qualified for the Nationals first. She qualified for Worlds, and I was like, oh well, if she can do it, like I think I can do it. Maybe I'll put a little more effort into this and just take it seriously. So I think I was maybe 14
Mm-hmm.
when I was like, this is something that if I put the work in, I should get something out of it, or
Yeah.
I'd hope something out of it. So I think when I was like 14, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, there's more outside of just New England that I can do with this. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
if it happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess how did that manifest? Like into your training, into your mindset?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot different then just because I'm with a different school now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I qualified for the Nationals I think I qualified in 2010, so 2011 in Nashville was my first Nationals, and I was like, all my hard work paid off. I love this, great. And I think that was the year my friend qualified for the Worlds the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, okay, I need to step it up. So I started, I guess, just being more attentive in class
Mm-hmm.
and really focusing on listening to what my corrections were, trying to apply them, learning new steps and kind of new tricks just from watching YouTube videos because New Hampshire's pretty secluded in its own little bubble.
Yeah.
Even still now with everything, like I feel like New Hampshire's just
Was there a lot of Irish dance
out
on
of it all.
YouTube then?
Yeah, it's actually funny now because she's one of my current teacher's former students. Megan Carrigan, 2010, they put a video up of the world champions,
Mm-hmm.
like just a parade at the Worlds, and I watched that on repeat. I think that's when YouTube really started like getting bigger, I guess, and
Uh-huh.
people became like aware of YouTube. And I would just watch parades and parades
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, just trying to learn new tricks, seeing how people did basic things like their jump overs, because I'm not very good at jumping. So I was trying to just mimic everything I could see. And it was kind of self-taught in a way, basic type of over that you learn as a kid. And I did learn, I knew how to do them, but I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, that's an easy fix. If I change how I do this, maybe I can jump higher, maybe I can hold it more. And so I remember it was Megan Carrigan, and now I dance for her teachers that taught her then that
Mm-hmm.
got her that world title. So it's kind of been a full circle to watch her at such when I was so young and she was top of the world with her
Yeah.
competitive dancing, and now dancing for her teachers and they're helping me get to a better point. It's really nice.
It's such,
It's nice to
I
see.
love when
But
things come full circle like that in your life, but it takes so
yeah,
many years for you to come to that realization. But you're like, oh, life has been leading
yeah.
up to this.
Yeah, because at the time I didn't know who her teachers were. And then even when they first moved over here, I still didn't really know that those were her teachers. And then I think in one class, Michael brought her up and I was like, I
Starstruck.
literally studied videos. Yeah, it was like I studied videos of Megan dancing when I was younger to help myself out. But yeah, so it was kind of, it was on my own for a bit because I was the oldest and one of the only champs. So it's a lot different than it is now. I have a lot of friends around
Mm-hmm.
me, and even if they are younger, we're still all really great friends. So we
Mm-hmm.
push each other in class. Even on Zoom still, like we push each other in class to do a little better every time. So
Yeah. So you told me that you started to see like improvements in like 2015 to like 2017. Like that's when you really started to
yeah,
notice the difference. And I guess what was the reason behind that? What caused that? Was that
that
when you
was
changed your
probably,
schools?
yeah. I transferred schools at the end of 2014. So Nationals 2015 was my first big thing out. I had only done one fesh before that.
Mm-hmm.
But that I recalled at that Nationals, which I didn't the year before.
Where
So I was
was
just like,
that?
that was Providence. That was the
Okay.
Providence Nationals. It was close to home. I was there the full week, so that was fun. And then after that, because a lot of New England girls recalled, and my teacher basically, because I was like, yeah, I recalled at Nationals, like I'm good. That's it for me. She was like, well, no, you can do a lot more than this, but just so you know, like if you want to go to the Worlds, you were at the bottom of the New England girls that placed. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, if you keep up what you're doing, you're not gonna get up there. So
Mm-hmm.
she was very real. She was very honest with me, and I appreciate that. It kind of hurt at the time, but
Yeah.
it was needed to be like, okay, I can do more because I don't think I've ever been one to realize. I've always been told I have potential,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to see it yourself. And because I was always bottom of the
Yeah.
pack in my group. So then being told like you could do more, you could do more. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy here, like
Right.
chilling.
Yeah,
So
someone can tell you you're wonderful or there's something in you, but until you see it yourself, it doesn't
yeah.
matter at all.
Yeah. And I had heard it a lot from friends, from instructors I met at CRC, from people in my group, counselors at camp, a lot of people in the area. They were just like, you have potential, you have potential. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but like, what does that mean? I never really
Right.
understood it.
Right.
So, and then my teacher being very real and very honest with me, I was just like, okay, yeah, I should, if I
She
want
made
to
it
do this,
tangible, like with the actual achievable goals that you gotta make.
yeah. And the first goal, it was definitely a big reach goal, was just qualify for the Worlds
Mm-hmm.
because I never thought I could. And then my teacher was like, well, you can. So let's try and get there. So then that was probably summer 2015 was when we really started pushing for it
Mm-hmm.
that year, which was fine. It was still progress, but we just had to regroup the following year I qualified the first time at the 2016 Nationals in Orlando. And that was a lot
Yay.
of special time. Yeah.
What was
That
that
was a
moment like for you? Do you remember it?
I remember it so clearly. There was the longest pause because it was down in like it was the 30s or something. I think it was maybe 32nd place or something. They
Mm-hmm.
paused right before, and I was like, they messed up. It was like they messed something up. Someone was supposed to place, someone didn't. Like something bad had happened, and it was the
Uh-huh.
longest. I think because it was such a. It wasn't like the top 10, the top 20. It was even more because we had a lot of overseas kids in our group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they wanted to make sure before they announced that everyone qualified for the Worlds that it was true.
Yeah.
So then they made the announcement, all the North Americans qualified, and I had one of my best friends standing right next to me. We were about to like throw up everywhere. We were so nervous. It was so nerve wracking just being back there. And they called it out, and her and I just like grabbed each other, dropped to the floor, sobbed for maybe 5 hours after that because it was both of our first times qualifying. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
very, very excited. And that was fun. And yeah, that was a good day. That was a really good day.
And where was Worlds? Which Worlds did you qualify for? What was the location?
That was Dublin. The
Okay.
last time it was in Dublin in
Okay.
2017. So yeah, that was a fun trip. It was definitely a lot different
Mm-hmm.
than any major I've ever done. Like I've watched when Worlds was in Boston, I watched that, and I watched part of the Montreal Worlds in 2015 when they came to Canada. So I kind of knew the environment, but it's different being in that kind of
Oh,
bubble and
yeah.
having
Being a
and
spectator as opposed to being in it, it's, yeah, two different worlds
yeah.
in the same location.
Yeah, it's so completely different. Even just like before you dance, it's still different to understand kind of like what that mental aspect is
Mm-hmm.
on the day. But yeah, so just that day, it was kind of just well, I made it here and I never thought I would. So let's just enjoy every moment we have. We're not going in with any type of goal or expectation. It's just having fun and dancing. And yeah, it was fun. It was definitely a good first Worlds. I wasn't mad about anything that happened. So I danced well. It was just a big group, a lot of talented girls. Because
Mm-hmm.
that was also right before they pulled out that under 22 age group.
Okay.
So I was up in seniors and then I got pulled down. And
Okay.
we were like the oldest year of that new age group. So
Okay.
it was just kind of like we're here, we're at Worlds. Like this was my goal and I'm here and doing it. And yeah, it wasn't even, I think 2018 and like maybe 2 weeks before the Worlds, my teacher was like, you could like probably recall it this World. So maybe we should start thinking like we're going to have to do our set on stage and
This
go
was
from
weeks
there. And I was like, oh,
before?
okay. Yeah, weeks before 2018. Like I was training and I was
Oh,
focused and I was
right.
like, okay, yeah, second Worlds, like maybe we'll get a little closer to the recall this time. That was kind of the goal,
Uh-huh.
just be a little bit closer and dance my best and all of that because you can't really control the judges. But then
Right.
the night before I danced, we were supposed to meet at the practice stage. They closed down the practice stage. So then Rose took me to her hotel and we practiced in the hallway outside of her hotel room door. And it was a very narrow hallway with very low ceilings. And she was like, there might be people sleeping. Like you can't do bangs, you can't do clicks, but we just need to make sure like you're not going to forget your steps on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we practiced in the hotel in the hallway. She was like, well, I guess that's it. Have fun tomorrow. And then I recalled that World. So I think it was less stressful, but I still wasn't expecting it. So I was like, whoa.
Do you think it was like a subconscious, like you subconsciously believed in yourself at that point, or your teacher believed in you and that was part of it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely might have been because she had me switch kind of how I was thinking about certain things. So it wasn't just oh, I have to do my set because it's a 76. So it was long and fast. And it wasn't just how did you phrase it? Like, oh, if I get to do my set tomorrow, this is what I need to do. She was like, you need to start thinking when I do my set tomorrow.
Mm,
So even just kind of changing that mindset to when I have to do my set on stage,
right.
this is what I need to do in order for it to be a good set. And then I don't know if that necessarily carried into my first two rounds or if I just had fun. Because that was a very, very fun performance for me, the first two rounds. Like I was smiling and everything, and I struggled to smile on stage. So
Well, I guess what
it's,
kind of competitor are you? Like, do you get really nervous or are you just like really chill?
it can go, I'm definitely on two separate ends of the spectrum. I'm either really focused to the point where I may start crying at any second just because I don't know how to cope with like the nerves and everything. Like it's
Uh-huh.
just all happening. So I'm either really, really stressed or I am not focused whatsoever. I'm in a completely different world. I have no idea what's going on. That happened at one of the nationals. I like they started my group. I was the first 10 rotations and I didn't have my shoes on. I was not there that day and it showed. My placement showed that I wasn't there that day. And we learned from that I cannot be that relaxed. So I need
Right.
to find a good happy medium where I'm not crying from nerves, but I'm also
You're
not about my
you're zoned in
rotation.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
funny
a good,
because I feel like some people can, if they don't think about it, they perform better. Like if they get caught off guard almost because they don't have time to worry,
yeah.
they do better. But
Yeah.
you usually like you're a happy in between.
Yeah. I have my moments where I definitely get stressed and I get overwhelmed. And I also have moments where I'm just like, this is literally Irish dancing. I know we all put a lot of time and money into this, but at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, it's still a hobby for
Mm-hmm.
most of us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Vancouver Nationals. I don't know if you remember my whole debacle trying to get out there, but I my flight was canceled. I wasn't
Okay,
going to
yeah,
get there
yeah,
in
the
time to
weather,
compete.
right? I remember
Yeah,
everybody having issues.
yeah, so many people were having problems. My friend down in Philly couldn't get out of Philly either, so we were kind of racing to Vancouver to see who could get there first out of us because we were all being switched. But she was like, on the bright side, you're so overwhelmed and nervous about just getting there, you won't have that nervous energy
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to you dancing. And I didn't. I was very focused that day, but also very confident and very excited. So I think that made a difference. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun at that one because then we were just like, well, we're just happy to be here, so it doesn't matter.
Right. So
That,
one thing you had said to me was like there was like a turning point in your dance career where you had to really make a choice as to like why you were continuing dancing. As all dancers or any athlete knows, it's when you get serious, it becomes all consuming, and it really makes you question your life choices a little bit. Like, if I'm doing this, I better have a really good reason to be sacrificing my social life, my family. And I guess tell me a little bit about what that moment was for you and how you thought through it and what you came to realize.
yeah. So in my aunt was originally diagnosed with colon cancer in 2014, and then 2015 she finished her chemo, was cancer free, everything was good. That spring and summer, and then that fall the cancer came back and it was terminal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that was also kind of when everything was starting to change, and I had to decide to, if this was something I wanted to do, I needed to put more time into it. But I was also losing someone that was very close to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I grew up at my aunt's house before and after school every morning. My parents worked weird hours. So she always put me on the bus, took me off the bus, helped me with my homework. She was a very important person in my life. And then she was fine for about 2 years or so. If you looked at her, you wouldn't know she was sick. She
Mm-hmm.
was still very full of life and everything. But in summer 2017, they stopped her treatments. She stopped taking her medication. It was just the cons outweighed the pros, I guess, to it.
Right.
It wasn't doing anything to ease her pain, it was causing her more pain.
Yeah.
So she stopped her treatments and passed away 2 weeks before the 2017 Nationals. And in those 2 weeks, I second guessed every decision I had ever made in the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 years because I missed a lot of family events. I missed even just going over to her house randomly if I wanted to hang out one night because I had dance. And so I felt like I missed out on a lot of her life because I had decided to pursue something that was very unconventional. And I felt guilty for being selfish and not putting her first, but at the same time, she loved my dancing so much. She would beg me to do it all the time at parties and everything. So I knew she would want me to keep going with it, and she was never upset with my decisions to go to dance over going to a barbecue. So
Mm-hmm.
just knowing how much she loved it, it took me a while to get to a point where I accepted it, but after that was when I was kind of just like, well, if I'm gonna go in on this, I'm gonna go all in, and I'm gonna do it for her, because it's something she always wanted me to do, and she always supported my decisions. Especially like after I graduated college, I didn't rush right into a big corporate job right away. I took some time to dance and kind of live my life the way I wanted to, because she helped us all realize life's way too short for some people. You never know
Yeah.
when it will end, and you don't want to live your life following someone else's expectations
Yeah,
for
you
you.
don't,
So
the fragility becomes so apparent to you because it's so easy to just kind of blindly
yeah,
walk through life and go through the motions and just do what
exactly.
everyone around you is doing. But
Yeah,
yeah, that push and pull of committing your life to a very specific thing, you're so honed in. I
yeah,
think it speaks to the support system that you have that you were able to do that because just I like learning about athletes in general, and the most
mhm,
successful ones are the ones that sort of are almost given permission by their support system to like to do the things
yeah,
that they do and let them
yeah.
know that we'll be there for you and you can pursue this.
Yeah, and that was basically my dad's very supportive of it, but it was a conversation more between my mom and I, because it was my mom's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, going into kind of the month of June, I think we had plan A through Z, I think, of what to do if my aunt hadn't passed away by the time Nationals was coming, because we
Uh-huh.
knew it was coming. We all expected it, even though she didn't look sick. We still knew it was coming down to the end. So it wasn't just that, was also a Nationals. I did teams. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, it still wasn't even just about me. I had seven other people to think about. And so we kind of had well, I can fly down for solos. I can fly home in case like the funeral's then, and then I can fly back for teams and then come home. And we kind of worked it out with a bunch of different families what to do if she hadn't passed away then.
Yeah.
But we once she did, and we had the funeral planned and everything, and that was done, it was kind of just, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
In it sounds so terrible to say, like my aunt's passing was a weight lifted off, but it was less to worry about, kind of, well, if I'm not here for this because of this, then so and so is going to be
Right.
upset, kind of thing. I was kind of just like, okay, we can put this on the back burner for now. We'll come back to these feelings
Mm-hmm.
eventually, but we'll just get through the Nationals. And so we did. And it was a good Nationals. That was probably, at the time, that was the highest I'd placed. And I'd gotten 12th that year. And never again, I was just happy to be there, in a sense, because it could have been such a completely different situation and a completely different day.
Do you think it had a
So,
little bit to do with putting things into perspective for you, where you realized this is a competition and there are,
yeah.
greater forces at work too, and it it took a little bit of pressure off of you, maybe?
Yeah. I was enjoying the moment that I was in. I wasn't thinking about what to do if I didn't get the recall, what to do if I didn't do this, what about this, that, whatever. I was just very in the exact moment of whether it was being on stage for my slip jig. Like I can remember dancing my slip jig vividly still, because I was just
This is the goal,
soaking it
right?
all in. Yeah, and that was one of my favorite performances, probably that in Vancouver. And I love Nationals in New Orleans. At least in my room, there were mirrors in the back of the hall,
Mm-hmm.
so I could see myself too. So that made it fun for me, because then I would hit the corner and be like, "Oh, there I am." Okay. And yeah, so that was a fun one, but it was kind of bittersweet, 'cause at the same time, like I wish I could have texted her about it and
Mm-hmm.
been like, "Hey, I did really well," but that's the way it happens sometimes. So,
Yeah.
but that was definitely the turning point where I was like, if I'm going to sacrifice everything, then I have to do this right and I have to give it my all. Like I can't say I'm sacrificing everything and then just walk my way through my steps and classes. Like I have to give it all of my effort.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
Well,
the turning point.
now you're a full-blown adult, adulting,
Yeah.
adulting
Trying
and
to.
dancing. I mean, I always say achieving those two things together is a miracle. It's a full-blown miracle.
Yeah. It honestly, I don't know how I got to this point. I'm kind of shocked myself, but I think I still have that really solid support system. My parents still help me out. If I ever need it, my mom will drive me to a class on Saturdays if I just need to nap for an extra hour in the drive. Like they're always there to help me. But it's definitely tough. It takes a lot of planning. Back when I was in the office, it's a bit different now. But when I was going into the office, I would cook all of my lunches on Sunday, pre-package them so I could just throw it in my lunchbox and go and not really think because I wanted to sleep as long as I could in the morning
Yeah.
after being at dance for so long the night before. But it's it's definitely different. I don't know. I don't know if it's easier or harder than being in school. I think there's pros and cons to both at least, but school there was definitely a lot more pressure to do like homework and group projects and all of that stuff. So,
Well, I'm sure you know, like, the Irish dance world, I think, sort of skews very young, generally speaking.
yeah.
But I feel like there's been a surge in older dancers who are sort of making the adults, giving them more of a platform, which I love
Yeah.
because I'm still 100% obsessed. And I'm like, okay, it's great. It's
Yeah.
not still just
Oh,
the
yeah.
young people and then me.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess what I guess sort of like daily and weekly and monthly, like what are some of the things that you tell yourself to keep going? Has sustained
Yeah.
you for
So,
this long since you were like 4 years old. How old are you now?
yeah, I'm 25. So it's been about 21
Yeah, that's a
years
long time.
of dancing and dancing as much as I do. But now I definitely think at the start of every year, I write out goals and I keep them on a whiteboard and I just keep it in the corner of my room just so I kind of see it every day. It's just even if I don't sit in front of it and purposely read it, like this is one goal, this is the next goal, this is the next goal. I see it when I wake up. I see it when I grab my clothes or grab something out of this drawer. So it's just a subconscious way, I guess, to
Uh-huh.
kind of keep my brain thinking like this is why you're doing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the start of the year, my goals were very different to what they are now. They were all very placement oriented,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the right word for it. So I was thinking more about I wanted to get this placement at Oireachtas, this placement at Worlds, this at Nationals, kind of that way. And even if COVID didn't happen, I've learned that's maybe not the best way to set goals,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Irish dancing, because you
Can't
cannot control
control.
any results,
Yeah.
no matter who you are. Like you have no say over the judges. And you can, I think it almost hurts more to dance your best and then not get a placement that you thought you deserved than
Mm-hmm.
knowing something went wrong and having a maybe a lower score or a lower placement than what you were hoping for. Because at that
Mm-hmm.
point, you can be like, well, maybe if I didn't mess up this or I didn't die or I didn't bump this girl,
Right.
maybe it would have helped versus just giving it your all and being like, not today. So
Can I
I've
ask,
definitely,
like, can I ask if
yeah.
it's not too personal, like, what are, like, one or two of your goals right now?
Yeah. So right now, I'm actually looking at the board that I have. Um, One of the goals now I wanted to pay off my car this year, my car loan.
Nice.
So not dance related at all. Just
This
I
is the
wanted to get
adult
that done
piece.
out of the way. This is the adult piece. And then my friend challenged me to beat her longest plank time, which is 9 minutes and 35 seconds.
Whoa. Where are you at
So that's a
now?
COVID goal. I stopped for a while. So I think I'm still at like 3 minutes something.
Uh-huh.
I need to get back into the routine of actually doing more. I think once I made that transition to work from home, I started slacking off a lot.
Well, there's a
So
huge
I need to
adjustment
get back into
period.
it. Yeah, it was definitely a lot different. And then to have myself work at home, my mom, and then my dad and my brother still have to work in their office because my brother works for a government contractor and my dad does security.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both still out of the house, but it was definitely a lot different having all of us here and
Yeah.
trying to work with each other's schedules and what we needed. But yeah, those are my two goals now. And then I have a couple other things for dancing, like stretching every day
Mm-hmm.
to kind of maintain flexibility or improve my flexibility because that's a dance goal, but it's not anyway placement related. So
But it will translate into results. Yeah.
hope, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's the thing. I had to work a lot on that with Megan Kerrigan again. She does a lot of like goal setting and all of that. So we definitely had to kind of retrain how I think about certain goals and what I want out of dancing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's less about placements now. And I think we all kind of appreciate that a lot more
It's been a
because,
good break for everyone, I think.
yeah. And I think right now, so many of us are just trying to get back into class that
Mm-hmm.
we're not even thinking about like a major. It's just, I want to be back in class with my friends. And that's
Right.
really what it's all about at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The competitions are fun. Obviously, none of us would compete if we didn't enjoy it to some extent, but I think we're definitely going to appreciate even the toughest stamina class when we all feel like we're going to die and we just want to sleep for like 20 years.
Right.
Like, I would appreciate that a lot more now
Right.
after having it for a while.
Yeah,
So,
nothing sounds better right now than I'm sure like doing 5 steps in a row. You're like, yes, bring it.
yeah, I will not complain the first class back to do those. I'll be like, thank you. Much appreciated. Let's go.
Do you want me to do it again?
Maybe not that far. I would offer to do it a second time. I think I would just be like, thank you. Thanks for the stamina class.
So
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your shoot with me now. So
Yeah.
we did your photo shoot in 2019 in Greensboro. And so I want to go back to sort of like when you reached out to me. If you like, why did you reach out to me? Like, what was it about me or the timing that made you want to do it?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, coming up on Greensboro, I knew I wasn't going to have like another 20 years of dancing competitively.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted, a couple of my friends had done pictures with you and photo shoots with you, and they were absolutely stunning. And seeing a couple other kids that I didn't know in their pictures, I was just like, oh,
Who
I
did you
love these.
know?
Kira McGovern and
Uh-huh.
Colleen Robinson, they're the
Mm-hmm.
first two to come to the top of my head because I think all of their pictures were being posted
Mm-hmm.
when I had reached out to you, and I was just like, hey, you're going to Greensboro. Can I do one with you?
Yeah.
And that was fun because you came to our Oireachtas years ago. I think it was actually
Mm-hmm.
my first one with Kenny. That's when I met you in 2015 at that Oireachtas. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the same. Like, you can still scroll all the way down on your Instagram and find those pictures,
Yeah, yeah.
which is really
And
cool.
I was just looking at it before I called you because I was like, I wanted to remember. Because when you reached out to me, you had said that to me. You had said you photographed me once many years ago at Oireachtas, and
Yeah.
we were talking about full circle things. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
here it comes. It's
Like
going full circle.
it was all of it. And I was just like, this, it's so cool to see how much your photography had progressed and just the style of it. And I don't like, vibes is such like a weird word to say, but like the vibe was there. It fit kind of what I like in aesthetics and how things show up. And these three are definitely some of my favorite pictures that I have behind me. I think that one's my all-time favorite, the one
Can you bring
that
it
we did in
down?
the parking
I don't know
garage.
if we can see it that well.
Yeah, this one was the one,
Yes.
the parking garage,
Oh,
and
yes. Glorious location,
behind a
right?
railing. Yeah. And that's something like I never would have imagined that a parking garage would be the perfect backdrop for my favorite pictures. So it was
Yeah,
definitely really cool.
I definitely think one of my strong suits is taking what appear to be really ugly places and then telling my clients, I'm like, don't worry, trust me, this will work.
Yeah.
Let me reassure you, because in the moment you're like, what is she doing?
Yeah, because you can't I couldn't see what you could see, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna do it. Silpa knows what she's doing, and I trust it. Like I trusted you wholeheartedly
Yeah.
with everything that you had me do, and it wasn't even like that ridiculous. It was just in a parking garage. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I'm here for it. Like that's a nice brick wall. So
Yeah, and I
it's
love
fun.
it because I think especially dancers are so open to trying new things, and you guys
Yeah,
definitely like allow me the chance to play and create innovative things, and you trust me,
yeah,
which I am always so flattered about. I'm like, wow, someone's really letting me like use my vision to create something beautiful for them.
yeah, yeah. And the colors that day, like everything was just so nice. And I think it was raining that morning, but it opened up by the time, or cleared up by the time that we had to go out into downtown Greensboro.
Uh-huh.
And it was so much fun that day.
Did you have any apprehensions or hesitations before? Because I know sometimes people get nervous before their shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely it was more on like me. Like I didn't know if I could do what you would need to get a good picture.
Hmm.
I was just like, what if like I can't do anything? What if I look like a stale piece of bread or something? Like I just not in any way, shape, or form what it's meant to look like.
Yeah.
It was definitely more on me, but you coached me through every single pose, even the ones that I didn't necessarily do right, and I kept kicking my leg up in the back further. It came out really nice. I have Yeah, that's the other one that I have up there.
Oh, bring it down.
We'll just bring them all down. This is also in front of the parking garage.
Ah, ah, I love this one so much.
This one, I because you wanted my back leg lower, and doing the easier things for me seems to be a challenge.
Yes, this is not just you,
So
this
I
is
kept
everybody.
moving. I love all of those.
And yeah,
Like,
now that you're reminding me, like I do remember doing that photo with you, and
yeah,
there was a lot of like self dialogue. You're like, oh my gosh, can't get this. I'm gonna get this. Let me do it again.
yeah,
And I like that
yeah,
because working with me, like the whole thing is like process. It's not
yeah,
about getting it right the first time, and I never expect anyone to get it right. I want us
yeah,
to like work together and like come to a realization together of like, oh, this is how the pose fits my body. This is how we're
yeah,
gonna do it.
exactly. Yeah, and I had to kind of stop being so critical of myself because I was very much like, especially growing up and training with dancing, it's like, this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah,
It was kind of letting myself just relax a little bit and enjoy kind of what was happening and just let it happen as it does naturally,
right.
but also still kind of get the right idea with it. And
I think
yeah,
those two photos that you just showed, those two aren't technically perfect
no,
because
absolutely not.
the
I think,
cut is low and
yeah,
the on the hard shoe one, like your back leg is low, and these are not traditional moves.
it's because no, they weren't technically perfect,
Yeah,
but they're my favorite pictures.
and I'm not about technical perfection. I
Yeah,
am a stickler for technique because I love it, but I like to
yeah,
take something technically perfect and then mold it into something more creative. And when
yeah,
you find that harmony between something very creative and something very technical, that's when you get those beautiful moments, which
yeah.
you may not ever do in a competitive step. Like a low
No,
cut like that, nope, never gonna
no,
pass.
never.
But when you're just enjoying movement and your body and the shapes it can make, it's
Yeah,
it's appreciating your dancing in a non-competitive way, and that's what I want to bring to you and make you realize there's other shapes you can make with your body that are just as beautiful, but still are reminiscent of the dancing that you do.
yeah. And I think, especially because now we have action shots at every major, and you can see when your technique isn't perfect and when it doesn't look like how you want it to look. But
Right.
obviously, if I did a cut like that at Worlds or something, teachers would be like, Carolee,
Hmm.
what are you thinking? But it's just so beautiful to see
Yeah.
all of it in a way that I wasn't expecting. But I absolutely love. That's my favorite picture of all time.
Yeah,
I think all time. Yeah.
my favorite thing to do is like get a dancer in front of the camera and just sort of be like, who are you? What makes
Yeah.
you tick?
Bringing that, it was very individualized,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is the way to describe it. Like, everything was very centered around what I was capable of and not what a world champion that you photographed a day before was capable of. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it was a really, really fun afternoon, and my mom loved seeing the entire process happen.
The day of the photo shoot was your mom's birthday, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was her birthday. And so we had a nice birthday dinner after that. We DoorDashed Cheesecake Factory. And yeah, so we celebrated her birthday after the fact, but honestly, that's a testament to my mom. Like she would give up anything to help me out or do anything I needed or just support me in any way possible. She is an absolute saint. She's incredible, and I think she's the biggest reason why I'm still dancing, because
Yeah.
without her, I definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, when you told me that, you only told me the end of the photo shoot. You're like, by the way, it's my mom's birthday. Can you take a photo of
Yeah.
us together? I was like, oh my God, it was your mom's birthday this whole time. I'm like, what a
Yeah.
lovely mother.
Yeah, she's a real one. She's the best.
Oh,
I love
that's so
her.
great.
And that's like, she loved that entire day. She loved seeing how you worked and how I was in front of the camera and maybe watching me do something that was unconventional and maybe not the norm or standard of perfection in the parking garage. And
Right.
because she could see, I think you had showed her like a one of the test shots we did
Mm-hmm.
behind the railing in there, and she was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She was sold right away, but she loved it.
Like, I promise it's not
But yeah,
bad.
yeah, like it's just trust me on this. It's gonna be good. Just just give me a couple minutes. And yeah, that's essentially what happened with that, because
That's so great.
you're just in the parking garage and you're just like, oh, this could work out.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was fun.
So I found that picture I took of you way back when at regionals, and I
Oh yeah.
screenshot it. So I guess I should say what it was that I was doing. So
Yeah, because I think you briefly explained it that day, but that was also so long ago.
yeah, so it was 2015. So this was basically like my origin story of becoming a photographer. This was before I had like a photography service and I was who I am today. I so I'm from the New England area and I used to dance in the New
Yeah.
England area. So I would go to regionals all the time, and I think that year I decided to go and just take pictures of dancers because before I'm a photographer, I'm just a person who likes to know the why behind people do what they
Mhm.
do. And
Yeah.
so I was just going around asking dancers to tell me. I think that project was called "I Dance Because dot dot dot."
Yeah.
And
Because I think you
so
had a whiteboard too
yes,
as
and
well, or maybe
so
that was the year before, but
so you don't have a whiteboard in yours, but I did at some point have a whiteboard, and I would have
yeah.
dancers write down why they danced, and then I would take a
Yeah.
picture of them. This was just like outside the halls, like in their practice
Yeah.
gear, just getting ready. People in like their like authentic state, like pre all made
Yeah.
up, kind of made up, but like without your dress on, just sort of like what it's like to
Yeah.
be in the wings almost and getting ready to dance.
Yeah.
And I had probably very like shyly and kind of scared approached you because I was not very good at approaching people back then. I was scared, terrified a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think I came up to
I
you.
still am.
But I came up to you and I talked to you. I had a conversation with you, and then this was just the picture I took of you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that was a necklace. I actually, the ring that's on that necklace, I wear it now. But yeah,
So great.
yeah, that was the first time I truly, in like my entire dance career, I felt respected by people in the school that I was part of. I felt there was a mutual respect between myself and my teachers. And I was on cloud nine that entire weekend because I'd never experienced something like that.
So
Maybe when I was a kid, but it's a lot different when you're nine than when you're 19, 20 years old,
yeah.
sacrificing all of your time to do it. So
So I'll
I
read
was,
what you
yeah.
wrote. You wrote,
Oh, yeah.
I dance because I love my dance school. My teachers, Rose and Michael, are so passionate about dance and put so much energy into teaching us. I always want to do my best so I don't let them down. They just want to make me the best dancer I can be, whether you're competitive or not. Karaleigh. And I wrote 8th place U20.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all of that's still true. And especially now with COVID and everything, they have done so much just to make sure we're all safe and healthy. And hanging in there. If we can't get to class, they still have Zoom classes for us. Um, Even if like we're not comfortable coming into class, they'll still offer a Zoom class or a Zoom private
Mm-hmm.
just to keep us going with it, because obviously it's their job, but it's also they
It's
grew
more
up in
than
this life
them.
too.
Yeah, it's more than that for
Yeah,
them.
it's their entire life. Like they were in the same position, maybe not the same exact way and the same things happening, but they were 20 years old and dancing or teaching or studying for their teachers. They've lived everything that I have. So they get it. And they put so much energy into every student of this school. All of that's still true 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I don't regret any second of being with Kenny. I absolutely love them.
I think it's
100%.
that idea of like the family you're born into as well as like the family you choose to have, and they're the family you've chosen to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. And I would choose them time and time again.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I would still always choose them to dance for and learn from and just be part of my life. 100%. They're the best. I love them.
Yay. Karaleigh, well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
But it was so lovely talking to you, and I thank you for sharing all the stories about your dance life. And I'm sure there are other people who are going to listen to this and it's going to resonate with them, or they're going to hear their own story in it as well. And
Yeah, and hopefully so.
I think especially now, like everyone's, isolated by themselves, like hearing these stories will
Yeah.
make them realize that they're not the only ones feeling the way that they are, and there are other people
Yeah.
out there who are going through the same things.
Yeah. It's been a struggle, especially with COVID, kind of just keeping at it and being like, and I feel like now I can kind of just enjoy dancing for dancing
Yeah.
without the stress of competition. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But right now I'm just loving what I'm doing. And I think that's really important. So
To end on a very happy note, like what's one thing you do every day to like make yourself laugh or smile?
um hmm, probably I have a smaller group of friends that I've stayed in touch with quite regularly even before COVID, but we have a group chat together, and typically it sounds bad, but we'll just kind of like roast each other for certain things, and it's fun to just laugh at ourselves and be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, why do we do that? But yeah, it's not like an everyday thing, but it happens almost every day just because we're that good of friends. So
The
it's fun.
lighthearted banter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely keeps us all sane, and just knowing like they're experiencing it too, whether they're in Philly, Mexico. One of my friends is in Dublin. Like we're all kind of in the same mental state, so we just laugh about it together.
Yeah.
But they're
That's
good friends.
great.
They're really good friends.
Yes, keep your friends really close, especially in times like this.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see them again though. I was so excited to see them at the Worlds because that would be the first time in like 2 years we were all together.
Uh-huh.
But we're planning something for post COVID,
Yes.
whenever that is. But
Yeah.
post COVID.
People got so many plans post COVID. It's gonna be
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. First step is vacation, like a real vacation.
Yes. Not like a 1 hour drive away.
Nope. No. Real vacation without a mask on and all of that. But
Yes.
hopefully, with each day that passes, we're one day closer. So
Definitely.
that's
Well, in the meantime, stay safe. All right.
you too.
All right. It was nice talking to you.
It was nice to talk to you too.
Bye.
Bye.